This is Southern Cross News with Rachel Williams.
Good evening. Treasurer Peter Gutwin says he won't be compromising on the government's plans to take over TAS Water, despite 23 of 29 Tasmanian councils voting against what they call an asset grab. The government relying on results from a ReachTel poll to push its point, saying the majority of households support the plan. But analysts warn the political slanging match could cost the Liberals at the next election.
1,622 households were surveyed in the ReachTel poll on Monday night. They were asked 5 questions. The first, who do you think runs TAS Water? 59.3% not aware local councils own and operate the body.
There is absolutely no reason for the government to take TAS Water from local councils. As I said, we have a plan and that plan is there to deliver the outcomes.
The Property Council has come forward confirming it commissioned the survey, saying today it has a vested interest in TAS Water and denied being asked by the state government to commission the poll.
If we have exceptional, exemplary water and sewage services right across the state, then it will attract people to come and live here, but it will also attract business to develop.
The poll results were released to the public just hours after the Legat Council vote was a resounding no to the proposed takeover.
I think the timing of the poll was clearly aligned with the LGAT motion. There's no doubt about that. And from what I'd heard, it was always going to be voted against. So I suspect the Property Council knew that and they were attempting to shore up the state government's position with this kind of polling.
But the Treasurer says the timing was a coincidence.
Regardless of when this poll was conducted, I think the result would have been the same. The vast majority of Tasmanians want the state government to take over TAS Water and fix this mess.
The poll showed 50.6% of those surveyed support the government's plan, while 27.3% don't. Legat today reaffirming its decision to challenge the state government and lobby the Legislative Council to block it. Analysts warn it could lead to an early election.
What state governments need to be really careful about is a political backlash. So they don't want legislation blocked in the Legislative Council, or they don't want 20 or 25 local governments and councils campaigning against them at the next state election, and that could be a really significant issue.
The slanging match also predicted to prove costly for the Liberals.
Because at the end of the day, councils are the level of government closest to the people, and they can run very, very effective community campaigns against governments in state elections.
Jessica Moran, Southern Cross News.
There are calls tonight for the state's infrastructure minister, Reen Hidding, to stand down. The Labor Party accusing him of mishandling King Island shipping and being dishonest over costs of transporting vehicles to the island.
We've actually got receipts from the transport costs of exactly the same vehicle from last year to this year, and there is a massive increase.
But Mr Hidding has hit back, saying he didn't mislead Tasmanians and that Labor has no plans for King Island.
Labor has not made one suggestion as what ought to be taking place on that run. So we're setting the pace, found the ship, set up a new shipping line.
State government today announcing its 6-point plan for King Island, which includes creating an additional northbound sailing. A Tasmanian police officer has pleaded not guilty to possession of child exploitation material. The senior constable from the southern region appeared at the Magistrates Court in Hobart this morning, accused of possessing images of his son in the shower. The matter has been adjourned until June 22. The remains of Hobart's first Catholic bishop have been returned to the state 150 years after his death in Nottingham, England. Revered by the colony's convict population, Bishop Robert William Wilson became a champion of the poor, mentally ill and orphaned during his 21 years of service. His casket arriving at St Mary's Cathedral today, where he'll be laid to rest once more alongside other Tasmanian bishops in a newly built crypt.
He had great compassion and concern for those who were needy, and he was able as an Englishman too to be able to negotiate a lot with government, both here and in London, to improve conditions of people.
The church will hold the Requiem Mass and interment from 7 o'clock tonight. The state government has contributed more than $140,000 in the upcoming state budget to trial a Driving for Jobs program, a simulator and on-road training set to boost youth employment and promote safe driving from a younger age.
This simulator is the latest technology set to drive young Tasmanians to future employment.
It is without question one of the greatest barriers to access for employment for young people if they have not got a driver's licence in a timely fashion.
It's a new initiative set to bolster the learner-driver mentoring program. It would incorporate behind-the-wheel experience with education and vocational training. The project starting off in Bridgewater, eventually rolling out across the state. Also rolling on, Road Safety Week wrapping up after a crackdown on drink driving. But it's inattention that's on these college students' minds. Sam Freeman and his team now $5,000 richer after winning this year's road safety competition.
It's pretty cool. I didn't really believe it the first time. Jay sent me a message and I had to go on the Tasmanian police page and actually have a look that we actually won. I didn't believe I had my name on it.
While Georgia Stone and her team came in second.
We're all young drivers and we often have to deal with passengers taking videos and, showing it things on our phones, and it is a distraction, so it's important for us all to make sure that we know that.
The competition in its third year, reminding young drivers not to become complacent.
It could be a difference of life and death. You've only got to look away for 1 second and it's all over.
Talia Higgins, Southern Cross News.
Shoppers and onlookers were treated to a unique experience today, a live band on wheels, the music impressing local crowds.
Oh yeah, no, pretty much it's just people stopping, people in buildings looking out their windows, people coming out of restaurants and offices and waving and smiling and clapping. Some people have been dancing in the street, which is fantastic.
Tasmanian band Croon celebrating the launch of its new album Rat Pack. The rolling roadshow entertaining the public from Hobart to Kingston. So we'll take a look at the day's business and finance with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The Australian share market has closed 0.7% lower as the stoush between the Turnbull government and the big banks over a $6.2 billion levy on the biggest financial institutions announced in this week's federal budget deters investors. The ASX 200 index has dropped by 41.4 points. And a short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 73.84 US cents and 83.95 Japanese yen.
With its 19-game winning streak at UTAS Stadium now over, Hawthorn is pledging to take back Tassie when it hosts Brisbane tomorrow. But the Hawks will need to counter the inside knowledge of Chris Fagan, who jumped ship to the Lions at the start of the season.
Great mates off-field, but calls are on hold between Alastair Clarkson and Chris Fagan for now.
We know that for 2 or 3 hours we'll be at one another and then afterwards hopefully have a beer together.
There was no celebrating 2 weeks ago. The Hawks are haunted by their poor showing against St Kilda at UTAS Stadium.
We're 2-5, so we've obviously got to win games of footy to get back to where we want to be.
The Lions arrived well prepared. The side came down to Launceston for a special training camp during pre-season. Plus, Coach Fagan worked as Clarkson's right-hand man for nearly a decade.
We play okay down here, so hopefully with the familiarisation of the ground and the team that we brought this week, we're able to give it a good show.
So will Fagan sniff out the secrets?
I don't know whether it's an advantage. Sometimes you might know too much, but we'll wait and see what happens tomorrow.
There are elements of their game that look a little bit similar to ours.
There have been special calls leading up to the game for fans to fill the stands. Well, that certainly isn't an issue for Tasmania's #1 Lions man. Alfie Curtis has been to every Brisbane and Fitzroy fixture played in Tassie.
I played for Old Scotch for a lot of years and they were the same colours, and I thought, well, I'll stick with those colours. It could be lucky at some stage. I am the Lions man for life. I'll be there tomorrow, the bell was on.
Although he's leaving the face paint at home this time around. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
To the TSL now, and Tigers coach Aaron Vince is rueing a potentially season-ending injury to young star and vice-captain Brandon Batchelor. It's the latest headache for the Kingborough-based squad as it battles to stay in touch with the top 4.
Batchelor lasted less than a quarter against Lauderdale, scans revealing the extent of the injury earlier this week. Coach Aaron Vince says at best he'll return in 4 to 6 weeks. At worst, it's season over.
Batchy's really key. He's a leader of our footy club and
when you haven't got a lot of leaders and still got a young core group, it's really vital we have those leaders on the ground. So yeah, no doubt it'll be a blow, but that gives an opportunity for one of our leadership group to stand up and really be that leader out on the ground.
Launceston will go in refreshed and raring to go in the Kingborough clash after enjoying the bye last week. Meanwhile, Clarence coach Jeremy Webberley says his team has gone from the hunter to the hunted after last week's win against Glenorchy. He says home ground advantage will also mean little against an always improving Hobart City Demons.
And we need to probably not change our mindset, that make sure we switch back on for this week, because it's a big challenge. I think they're playing some really good footy and fast football as well, so we have to make sure defensively we're right on our game.
Demons assistant Trent Baumiller says they've been studying the tapes all week, but will back in the regular game plan.
They use the ball very well by foot, run and carry team, so they've got their good ball users behind the footy, and their forwards roll up and hit up pretty high and work really hard. So we've had a look. We've got some plans in place that we hope will work, that we'll try and counteract.
Play gets underway at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Andrew McCarthy, Southern Cross News.
Clarence United will need to bring its A game if it's any chance of pulling off an unlikely upset against Olympia FC at Warrior Park tonight. And while the form guide suggests the home side may win by a big margin, interim coach Kenny Weston is still giving nothing away.
They may be all smiles now, but when the whistle blows for the Eastern Shore derby, all friendships are on hold. And Olympia coach Kenny Weston is playing his cards close to his chest.
There'll be a couple of changes, yeah.
Can I say that?
No.
Olympia go into the match as red-hot favourites and ladder leaders, while Clarence's horror run with form and injury leaves it wallowing among the also-rans.
Game day, we're just struggling to not concede goals, and certainly struggling to score them, so I'm not going to feel sorry for us. Like, we've got 11 players the same as any team, and we'll do the best we can, and we should be doing better.
But from adversity comes opportunity, with Jablonski looking to his young chargers to step up deep in enemy territory.
You can look at it as a negative, but for them, if I was those lads, I'd be giving it everything I got to try and keep my spot in the team.
For Weston, any pressure from a local derby that has bragging rights on the line means nothing to him.
I don't treat any game any different to any other game in terms of my preparation, whether it's, we play Clarence, we play South Hobart, if we play South Melbourne. Never underestimate anyone, but never fear anyone.
Kick-off is at 8 p.m. In this weekend's other games, Kingborough are at home to South Hobart. Launceston City take on Hobart Zebras, while Devonport will go head-to-head with Northern Rangers. Andrew McCarthy, Southern Cross News.
Good evening. Hobart 11 degrees today, Launceston 12, Burnie 15 and Devonport 13, but 19 was the high on Flinders Island. Some temperatures though up to 6 degrees below average. King Island 17, Low Head and Wynyard 15, Friendly Beaches just 13 degrees, Maria Island 12, Campania and Cressy 11, Ooze 10 and Lyawini 8, while the best rainfall today 17 millimetres at Fisher River, 16 mils at Strawn and Sheffield. There is upper level cloud over South Australia and New South Wales. Bit of low cloud moving through with thunderstorms over southwest WA and a fair bit over our region. We can see that now. Thick low to middle cloud developed today over Tasmania. Tomorrow, a low near our southeast has a trough extending to New South Wales. A broad area of high persists over southeast Australia. A trough is running through central Australia with another over inland Queensland. The winds tomorrow tending southwest to southeasterly during the morning and increasing to 15 to 25 knots later over the east. Lighter winds inland. Forecast for tomorrow, Hobart showery, a top of 14 degrees, 12 the high for Maydena with showers easing. Oatland showers easing as well and 12. Well, it's the Hawks and the Lions at TAS Stadium. Launceston early showers clearing before the game, a top of 17 degrees, 16 the top for Devonport, an early shower as well. Showers easing from Lyawini 1 to 9. And for Burnie, a possible early shower as well, 16 the top, a shower for Strawn on 14 and Marrawar on 15 degrees. While for St Helens, an early shower clearing, 16 the top, 15 for Swansea, showers easing also from Orford and 14. Showers over the south, east and Bass Strait on Sunday, fine elsewhere. Fine on Monday apart from a shower over the south, east and northwest of the state, and light showers on Tuesday over the east and Bass Strait Islands, otherwise fine. Partly cloudy in Perth, mostly sunny in Adelaide, Darwin and Alice Springs. Hazing conditions over Melbourne, 17 there, and possible showers for Sydney and Brisbane. And here are the current conditions. Light rain right over the state, but it'll get away. Rachel, you won't get wet at the footy tomorrow.
Sounds good. Thanks for that, Murph. Well, that's all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us. Good night.